welcome to another Sci-Fi Fantasy Saturday. Today, I'm taking a look at Dice Throne Adventures. Now, if you recall, a little while back, I did Unmatched Adventures, and basically, this is kind of a similar concept, although this came first. Basically, what Dice Throne Adventures is doing or attempting to do is take a fighting game like Dice Throne, which is basically a mono or one versus one or two versus two, and I guess you could have a free throw. There is rules for a free for all as well, but at its heart, it's a fighting game and it's a dice game. Think of competitive Yahtzee, right? Yahtzee on steroids, because the dice. Each character has a unique set of abilities that are fueled by the dice and the combinations that you generate, and you're going to be doing not only combinations of matching symbols, but also straights, large straights, small straights, just like Yahtzee. And but those do different things for the different characters. And I'll put a link to all my Dice Throne stuff that I've done in the description down below. But Dice Throne is a game that is interesting because when I was talking about Unmatched, my youngest daughter really likes Unmatched. My oldest child, my son, really likes Dice Throne. And my middle child, she's kind of on the fence on both of them. But isn't that what middle children do, or middle childs are like? Anyway, but this is a dice-fueled game. Again, a lot of, if you're familiar with Yahtzee, then you're going to be familiar with some of the concepts here. But you're kind of building a deck of some sort. You're buying cards to use to accentuate your special abilities and the like. So what Dice Throne Adventures has done, it has taken that fighting game, just kind of like what Unmatched was with minis and skirmishing, and they've given it a purpose. They've given it a setting. They've given it a cooperative play area where that you will take one of your Dice Throne characters. And in this one, they don't have no Dice Throne characters come with this, which is unlike the Unmatched Adventures, which you get four new characters. You have to use some of the characters that you got from the other sets. But you take those characters, and then you compete in kind of a dungeon crawl. There are boss fights in here. There's a dungeon crawl kind of mechanism in here. But you're basically taking these characters, and you're not fighting against each other. You're fighting against foes on a grid or in a dungeon, and a boss at the end of that. So with that, let's take a look inside the box. And a big box it is. Now, I picked this up used. I don't think it was heavily played, but I did pick it up used at a good price. I've been looking for this and missed out. It was relatively expensive when it first came out, and it has maintained its value until I found a good bargain on this and then picked this up. And it's hard to get this box open, but there's a lot inside this box here. And I basically I kind of inventoried it to make sure that everything was there. I always do that when I get a used game, but I think pretty much everything is there. So you get this campaign scoring sheet. You can keep track of your campaigns. It's got a little bit of a slick surface, though you can use maybe a dry erase on that if you wanted to, or make a copy of that. But this Dice Throne Adventures is that just it's an adventure game, kind of a campaign game, where you'll be taking your characters and going along a series of adventures. Here is the rule book, and it's a big rule book because this was a big box and it fits up most of that box here. It's 16 pages. One of the things that is core or common to Dice Throne core game is there's a lot of symbology, or there's a lot of different tokens. It's not so much symbology as there's all these different tokens, because each of your characters, each of your fighters is going to have special abilities that use different tokens, and so there's going to be a lot of that. And I think the bosses and monsters that you fight in here are going to have that as well. So there's a lot of here's the status effect and tokens on page 16. Here's a glossary. Here's an FAQ. And here are the other game modes. You have boss versus mini, boss versus boss. So you can take the bosses that are in here and fight against each other. And the bosses have some of the same mechanisms that you find in a core fighter set. And so those are additional game modes in addition to the standard game mode of just taking your characters cooperatively through kind of a dungeon crawl. Here are all the components that come in here. You got 4 boss boards, so you get 4 new bosses. No new characters, but you get 4 bosses. They're new because this is the only place you get the bosses. They have the boss leaflet, which is, again, very similar to the characters or the fighters leaflets, which talk about what their special powers are. There's this chaos dice. This is a new addition. There's loot dice. Again, you're going to be getting loot. You're going to be getting cards that will augment your gameplay as you go throughout. In the regular game, you have your unique set of cards to your fighter, and you'll buy those over time as you get more points to buy them with. Here, you're going to get loot, which means I think you're going to get some cards at the end of your adventures or quest and be able to add those cards to your deck. Here are 160 boss cards, 40 per deck. So the boss are just like in the standard game, the boss are going to have their own unique decks. There's scenario cards. Again, these are these series of quests or scenarios that you're going to be competing against the game and the AI to advance along down your road. There's 4 enemy dials. You'll be keeping track of their health on those. There's a loot table. There's loot cards. These are those cards that you're going to be adding to your deck. And again, they have the same back that you have in your standard character setup. Here are status effects and tokens. As you see, a whole bunch of new tokens because these are tokens that are unique to the bosses and the like. There's minion cards. So you're going to be fighting some... if you have bosses, you have to have minions because how can you be a boss if you don't have a minion? There's some hero standees. So they gave you standees for most of the characters. I think it's the ones that are in the standard set, not necessarily the Marvel edition. I've got some of the Marvel content, which I think is fully compatible with this. I think you can use any of the Dice Throne stuff throughout any of this. So, but I don't think they have any of the standees for the Marvels. There is a tray that came in here, and it shows you how to lay it out, and some of this was already laid out when I got it. There's a card caddy, leaflet, and boss boards right here, and then dice tile figurines and this dials and figurines and the like. So here's how you do the campaign setup. And this takes up a little bit of space. I mean, your character normally takes up not a ton of space, but takes up this kind of block. And then so all the characters around here will take up their normal spot, but normally you're just going 1 against 1 in most cases. Now, if you have 3 or 4, you're going to be taking up more space, and then you have to have a space for the scenarios or the dungeon or the boss when that comes out, and plus all the trays and all the cards that they need for that as well. But here's your setup area. Here's a portal crawl. So this is kind of like what I kind of call a dungeon crawl, where you're going to have these tiles you're going to be going through here, and that's going to determine what enemies and what loot or whatever you might get in that crawl. Here's how to move and explore in the portal crawl. Here's a minion battle. So you will be fighting a minion. It's a little bit lesser than a full fighter that you wouldn't do in the normal Dice Thrones, and it's definitely less than or not as tough as a boss, but they are tough nonetheless, and you're going to probably have more of them to fight over the course of the portal crawl. So there's more portal crawl battle there. Then you get to the boss battle. And so you can do the portal crawls, or you could probably just pull this out. If you just want to do a boss battle, you can just do a boss battle right out of the box if you wanted to do that. So here's one of the bosses here, the barbarian or the fallen barbarian, because you do have a barbarian in the Dice Throne Season 1. Here's all the steps for a boss battle, and as you can see, it's this is a big book, but there's a lot of illustrations and boxes and notes and stuff. So there's quite a bit of it's not all just text. So there's quite a bit of visual learning in this as well. Here's the loot chest. Here's the conclusion, a scenario conclusion, loot cards, shop, boss loot, and then we get to that where we are at, where you get the campaign score, legacy content, and then different kind of game modes. So that's all the rules. So the core system is still there. So if you know how to play Dice Throne, then it's still there. If you don't know how to play Dice Throne, you got to look that up. This is how it overlays over the core system with the portal, the minions, and the boss. Fun Again Logistics. I don't think I got this one. Did I get that from Fun Again? I don't know if I did. Dice Throw Miniatures. Here's an ad to buy the miniatures for. I didn't buy that. So let's look at some of the content. Here's a tray with all the tokens. As you can see, there's quite a bit of different tokens in here. And these are going to tie into the different bosses. And I think some of the minions might use some of these as well. We've got some more stuff over here. These trays are pretty good size, as you can see here. Some of these are really deep. These have all the standees that for the different of the Season 1 and Season 2, I believe, standees for those characters. And you got little stands here to use as well. There's dials for the different bosses. And these are very similar to the dials that you would find in Dice Throne. There's some new dice here. There's the Chaos dice, and these are mainly for the bosses and minions. And then you got some loot dice, which I think is just 20-sided die. I think these are just D20s. Let's see what else we get in here. We've got. I'm not going to pull out the card caddy. Let's pull out this one first. The card caddy is pretty heavy. Okay, this is like the loot board, and this is something that you're going to keep track of over time to try to figure out. Oh, that's going to fall. So let's do it here. And this is, you can probably do a dry erase on this, but I think you're supposed to put a token on this or something to keep track of the loot. So there's the loot, and there's boss, and then we've got. I think this is the shop. For common, rare, epic, and legendary. I mean, it's not D&D or it's not fantasy if you don't have a shop. Here are the sideboards for the different bosses. Gives you a little bit of AI rules and some FAQ for them, but then it has their symbols. So, he has concussion ability and stun. Those are the tokens that go with that. Here's the monk. Chaos, evasion, and knockdown. Here is the fallen. These are all fallen because these are like characters that were in Season 1 and now they've fallen. Or I think this might have been Season 2. The gunslinger, evasive, knockdown, and bounty, and then has different tokens. And then the Mad King, and has quite a bit of tokens here. Dominance, life siphon, dominance, hex, silence, and parasite. So look at that there. And you have what their dice do. So this is using the Chaos dice, and it shows you the allocation. So there's 3 of these symbols, 2 of these, and 1 of these. And it also has a number associated with it because you'll use either the symbols to build combos, or you'll use the numbers to kind of build a straight, large or small straight to use their special abilities. And those special abilities are going to be in these big boards here. Here is the monk. And they went with, Season 1 had just a big open board. And then Season 2, they started doing these fold-outs. And then then they re-released some of the Season 1 into these fold-outs, like it was revised or something. But if you have this fold-out here, then this is how the board looks. So this is the fallen monk. This is one of the bosses. And here are all his special abilities. And so this is, getting combinations of that symbol. This is getting combinations of that. If you do a small straight, this is what it does. If you do a large straight, this is what this does. It's all about the symbols. And when it gets attacked, it defends with this. These are the green dice, usually, or this over here is usually the defense dice, and what you roll to get there. And then you can upgrade these. It will the monk will have its own deck. The fallen monk will have its own deck, and then over time, it will upgrade some of these abilities and be even better, because that's hence upgrade, right? And there's the back of it. So each one of those baddies will have their own board. Here's the fallen gunslinger. Kind of like the little noose there. Cool. Here is, let's do the fallen barbarian. And as you can see, very kind of Yahtzee-like with all these different combos and straights, but very, that's where that comparison ends very quickly, because there's a lot of stuff going on here. There's a lot of special abilities and the like. Here's the Mad King. It does something on a small or large straight, then it has this revel over here where it does something. It's got Puppet Master, and this ultimate ability, like if you roll that 1 in 6 chance symbol and you get 5 of them, it has an ultimate power. So, and that's true with the fighters in Dice Throne, and the bosses have that same thing, which is, it's kind of a pressure luck. If you get that ultimate power, you're really gonna do some massive damage. So let's put all that back in there. So that all that goes in this tray here, which fits into the side of the box. And then I'm just going to take off the lid here for the card tray, because maybe I won't. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. So let's get that out there. So what the card tray here here's all your tiles for those portal crawls, and different stuff that goes on there. So you got all kinds of different tiles in here. Then you have all the cards that go with different, like this is loot cards here. They have a little divider for your different kind of loot cards. And some of these look at the loot cards these are like foils. So you got some different, and they all have that back so that they can go right into your deck. These are more loot cards. So this is, you have epic and rare and common, and I think, I don't know if L stands for loot or legendary. You got some portal crawl player aid cards here. There's different difficulty. Then you have some cards for boss versus boss, and that King's Hand is like a variant you can use. This is the Mad King. So this is the Mad King's cards right here. This is his unique deck of what he's going to get over time to upgrade his abilities and do special abilities to mess you over. So like there's that Puppet Master ability, then this upgrades to this ability here. So each one of the bosses has their own upgrade ability. And these right here, these are part of, it's a legacy pack. I don't want to open that up. These right here are, I think, the different scenarios. So I think I took out the toughest scenario here. Maybe, maybe not. So these are the different scenarios, and these are some of the baddies that you have to fight for the different scenarios. Now, they don't have all that whole list of combos that a normal fighter would have or what a boss would have, but they do have some. So they have this combo, then they have this right here, and so they have an attack and kind of a defensive role, and that's what you're going to see in a lot of these cards here. So quite a few different characters or creatures or monsters that you're going to be going up against over time, and so there's quite a bit of variability here. But at its heart, what it's doing is it's taking a relatively, basically a 2-player fighting game, and giving it. I think there's something. Is there something underneath here? Maybe not. Or maybe that's just a box I have underneath there. It's taking a 2-player fighting game and making it cooperative, right? Making it more of a dungeon crawl and giving you the ability to play against others with it, or playing against an AI and play with alongside other people instead of against them. So, and again, Unmatched has done that, has taken a fighting game and has done that. Crowmasters did that with a Crowmaster Quest. And I think there might be some other ones that have taken kind of at its heart a fighting game and taken it to a cooperative quest or dungeon builder or a dungeon crawl or something along those lines. But anyway, I thought I'd cover this one because I do really like Dice Throne, and this to me just adds another way to play it. And the other thing that this adds is solitaire capability, right? Because Dice Throne is a two-player game. You really can't play it two-handed because you're rolling dice and you're making decisions and you're building your deck and all that stuff. It really doesn't lend itself to two-player. Unmatched does a little bit, but even then you have some hidden information with your deck. So what they did with Unmatched Adventures and with Dice Throne Adventures is not only have they made it cooperative, not only they have taken a fighting game and made it more of a cooperative and a dungeon crawl, but they've also made it solitaire compatible. So now I can grab any one of my fighters or a couple of the fighters and play them as I fight through the portals and through the bosses. And that's something that I like as well, as my little ones are leaving the nest. Anyway, that's what I have for you today, Dice Throne Adventures. If you've played this, love to know your thoughts on this. I think one of the two downsides to this, potentially three downsides of this, was one, it's a little bit complicated. I mean, it's a little bit more wonky than just taking Dice Throne and adding it to a cooperative setting. There's a few more rules and how to do the portal. I think the boss fight, just going up against a boss fight, I think is pretty straightforward, and so that's not that complicated. But the portal adds a little bit more layer of complexity. Number two, they don't give any new characters in this. That's one thing that Unmatched did. They added 4 new characters, so you can play that just out of the box. This you cannot play in this box. Even though this box is huge and has a lot of content, you just can't play it out of the box because you need to have some of the Dice Throne characters, which you probably would have. You probably wouldn't be buying this if you didn't already have some of the Dice Throne packages. The third thing on this was it was really pricey. I got it for a really good price. But it was used, and again, I think all the content's fine on this. Was really good quality. But it was pricey, and so I think that was a detractor because you're not getting new characters, and it's very expensive, and so do you really want to invest in that? Anyway, that's what I have for you. But if you have it, let me know your thoughts down below, or you can just talk about Dice Throne, what you love or hate about that. Anyway, thanks all for stopping by on this Sci-Fi Fantasy Saturday. Hope you're having a good one. Thanks for watching.